Hi, this is Ryan, and my amateur radio call sign is November 7 Mike. And here's what it sounds like in Morse code. All right, today's video, we're going to be covering requirement 9A of the Radio Merit Badge, and this covers the amateur radio service. The Federal Communications Commission, or FCC, is the government agency that established the amateur radio service. There are many reasons to have such a service. Here's a few. Public service, community service, and disaster help. A scout does a good turn daily. This is another way to do that. International goodwill. A great way to talk to people in other countries is by using ham radio. Experimentation. Hams have invented many technologies used in places outside of ham radio, including new kinds of software and hardware. In developing communication skills, hams become excellent communicators. There are many ways to have fun in ham radio. Of course, there's the basic operating like we do at any amateur radio station, contacting people all over the world and the United States. Fox hunting, another activity you can do in any park, is known as radio sport because it requires radio skills, physical fitness, and other scout skills such as map and compass. You could become interested in satellite communication and create your own Earth station. You can make contacts with astronauts on the International Space Station. You can set up a bicycle with a full ham radio mobile station, antenna and all. Many hams are into digital communication, where software is combined with radio equipment to transmit all types of digital signals around the world. What you see here are various types of modulated signals that are created by the software and that drives the transmitter. Instead of traditional telegraph key or microphone, a ham operator uses a computer with a regular transmitter to modulate the signal. Some hams are big into the outdoors, combining their radio hobby with high adventure. Those involved in national parks on the air, as well as parks on the air, try to visit and operate from as many national parks and state and federal parks as possible. And summits on the air, with summits on the air, hams will climb to the top of various mountain peaks and operate from the top. We have SOTA sites all over the Northwest. We can even operate slow scan television, sending video signals from ham radios. Here we see a slow scanned ham radio signal from a space station. With something we call moon bounce, a signal with the right equipment and antennas can reflect off the moon, travel back to Earth, and be received by another ham a continent away. A lot of hams like to build their own equipment. Learning how to read schematics, identify electronic parts, and use tools such as soldering irons can be a lot of fun. You can get deep into this by earning the Electronics Merit Badge. There are 3 amateur radio licenses in the United States. The technician class requires you to learn basic operating procedures, understand important radio regulations, and learn some basic electronics. The technician class license holders are allowed to operate on several bands with an emphasis on VHF and UHF. General class license holders need to have an intermediate understanding of practices, regulations, and electronics theory. While they can and are allowed to use some of the same bands as technicians, generals also get more of the shortwave bands and communicate all around the world. Extra class license holders have passed an exam on advanced electronics theory and practices. They have privileges on all bands and can administer license examinations. The FCC allows certified volunteers to administer amateur radio license exams. These volunteers are called volunteer examiners. We all live in areas where there are different types of risk for major disasters. East Coast has its hurricanes, the West Coast has its earthquakes and tsunamis. The middle of the country has its tornadoes. As a ham radio operator, you need to be ready to send an emergency message. In fact, during catastrophic emergencies, like the one we just showed, anyone can use any kind of radio when it's a life or death situation. If you're a ham, even if you aren't and have access to communications equipment, you would turn on the gear and first listen for what we call traffic, whereas that's a place where people are already talking. Then you would speak clearly into the microphone and say, "Break, break." This tells people you likely have an immediate need to make a contact. The common word used on the radio for "I have an emergency" is Mayday. If you forget the word Mayday, just say emergency. What do you think this is? Well, it's Morse code, and it's 3 letters. And what do you think those letters are? I'll play it in code or send it out in code. What do you think it's saying? Well, that's a good guess. That's right, it means SOS, which is the Morse code version of the word Mayday. Let's cover some of the names for equipment that are used by ham radio operators. First, many of us use a base station transceiver. This is usually located in a place we call our ham shack, where all of our heavier gear is located. Some ham shacks can be very complicated. Many hams use their mobile radios more than anything else. Mobile radios in automobiles can communicate locally, especially through repeaters, but they can also be the kind of radio that will communicate internationally. And of course, some hams might get a little carried away with their mobile stations. And most all hams have at least one handheld radio. You might call them a walkie-talkie, but we call them HTs for short. This is an abbreviation for handy-talkie, a term that usually isn't used much anymore by hams, but we still use the word HT. Wherever you'll find a ham, more often than not, you'll find an HT. We mentioned repeaters a couple of minutes ago. An HT usually doesn't have enough power for its signals to go a long distance because things get in the way of the signal, like trees and hills. VHF and UHF radio signals can be easily blocked by an object such as a tall hill. Ham radio operators frequently will install a repeater on top of the hill. Repeaters will receive the signal from a low-powered HT and simultaneously transmit that received signal out to distances much farther than the little HT could accomplish by itself. Others who may not have received the signal straight from the HT will receive the retransmitted signal from the repeater. Repeaters can be connected to the internet via systems such as Echolink or System Fusion, or the Internet Radio Linking Project. There are even links created between the repeater and the internet that will allow you to use a low-power HT to speak to someone someplace else in the world.